Hello guys, Analuik here, and today we're going to be continuing the tale of Emily Windsnap. We are on chapter 12. There's no heartbeat, Mom said, rocking back on her heels. I opened my mouth. What could I say? A second later, the slide door suddenly swung open, with a bang. Mom and I grabbed each other's arms. Millie's face appeared in the doorway. Do you think there's anything either of you would like to share with me? She asked, as she hitched up her long skirt and clambered out onto the deck. Mama and I looked at each other. I'm sensing some disorientation. No time now, Mom said, beckoning Millie over. We have to do something. Mr. Beeston has had an accident. I think he's dead. She clapped a fist to her mouth. Millie struggled over to join us, slipping and swaying on the wet deck. Let's have a look, she said, kneeling down beside Mr. Beeston. She undid his coat and lifted up his sweater. He was wearing a thick padded jacket of some sort underneath. I flinched as I noticed a picture of Neptune's trident sewn onto a pocket. Armored vest? Millie murmured. Now why in the blinking cosmos would he need something like that? I didn't say anything. Well, that's your answer anyway, Mrs. Mary P. Millie turned to Mom. You wouldn't hear a 10-ton truck through that. Just then, the boat jolted to the side. I slid across the deck and bumped against the bench seat. Emily, get the tiller, Millie ordered, suddenly in charge. I did what she said, not that it made much difference. The boat dipped and swayed helplessly in the waves. Millie reached under Mr. Beeston's back and unbuckled the vest. Lifting it off, she bent over him, and her That's so. Mm-hmm. Okay. Um. What? Hang on. Anyways, Mom came over and grabbed my hand while we waited. Absolutely fine, Millie announced a few seconds later. Oh, thank heavens. Mom hugged me. I'd never have forgiven myself if anything had happened. He just needs his chalk early lined. Millie continued. Bare reflexology should do it. She pulled off Mr. Beeston's shoes and socks and settled herself at his feet. Placing her hands across her large chest, she closed her eyes and breathed in deeply. Then she foot lifted his right foot and started to massage it. A few moments later, his foot twitched. She carried on massaging. He twitched again, this time his leg jerking up about in the air. The twitching and jerking spread up his body until it reached his face, and he started giggling. He was soon laughing loudly. Eventually, he leaped up, screaming, Stop, stop! Millie released his foot and stood up. Never fails, she said, wiping her hands on her skirt and heading back inside. Give me a minute or two. Reflexology always drains my chi. Mom went over to Mr. Beeston. Thank heavens, you're all right. Mr. Beeston straightened up his coat as he glanced at me. Just a scratch, he said. No harm done. A red path was worming in its way down the side of his head. My hand tightened on the tiller. No harm done, do you think? Emily, this is no time to start your nonsense again. What on earth have you got against this poor man? What have I got against the poor man? Where do you want me to start? I looked at him in the eyes. Is it the fact that he's been wiping your memory since the day I was born, or the fact that he's been spying on us forever? Mom didn't speak for a moment, then she laughed. Oh, Emily, I've never heard such. It's true. Mr. Beeston spoke, his eyes still locked onto mine. She's right. What? Mom held tightly onto the mast with her one hand. With the other, she clutched her chest. It's too late, Mary P. I can't pretend anymore. And I won't. Why should I? What are you talking about? Mom looked from Mr. Beeston to me. I didn't say anything. Let him explain it. Let him explain it. Mr. Beeson sat down on the bench opposite me. Good for it was for your own good, he said. All of you. His hands were still clutched, his hair all mangled and tangled up with blood and sweat and seawater. What was for my own good? Mom's face hardened and grew thinner as she spoke. The two worlds, they don't belong together. It doesn't work. He leaned forward, his head almost between his knees. And I should know. And I should know, he added, his voice almost a whisper. You're not the only one to grow up without a father. He spoke to the floor. Mine disappeared the minute I was born. He did. Just like that. All the others, fishermen, all very nice, having an unusual girlfriend, isn't it? Taming a beautiful siren. Show off to your friends about that, can't you? A tear fell from his face onto the deck. He brushed his cheek roughly. But it's a bit different when your own son sprouts a tail. Don't want to know then, do you? What are you saying, Mom? Mom's voice was as tight as her face, her hand still gripping the mast. The sea lifted us up and down. The sails still flapped uselessly out in the water. You can't put humans and merfolk together and expect it to work. It doesn't. All you get is pain. Finally, Mr. Beeson raised his head to look at us. I was trying to save you from that, from what I've been through myself. The boat shook violently as another wave hit us. I clutched the tiller more tightly. I told you he wasn't really your friend, I hissed to Mom, the wind biting my face. Friendship, he spat. Loyalty is all that matters. To Neptune and the protection of the species. That is my life. He held up a fist across his chest. Then he glanced at Mom. His fist fell open. That's to say, he faltered. I mean, look, I never wanted to. His voice trailed off, his chin dropping to his chest. Mom looked like she had been hit over the head herself. Her face was as white as the sails, and her body had grown rigid. I often wondered why they got a new lighthouse keeper so suddenly, she said. No one ever did quite explain what explained to old Bernard. You just appeared one day, and something else I've never really thought about. You never invited me in. Not one in 12 years. Not like Bernard. We used to go up there all the time when I was younger, up on the top deck, looking all around with binoculars and telescopes. But you, my friend, you always kept the doors closed to me. And to think, I actually felt sorry for you. The boat was starting to careen up and down, the sea getting wilder as we held the tiller together. She put her hand on my arm. He saw you once, she said quietly to me in the darkness. At Rainbow Rocks, held you up against his chest at the water's edge. I wouldn't let him take you in the water. Maybe if he had. Her words slipped away as she looked at me, her hair plastered across her face in seawater. I've lost 12 years. I bit my lip, tasting salty water, hidden from my own mind, like everyone else. She stood up and inched over towards Mr. Beeson. You stole my life from me, she said, anger creeping into her voice. You're nothing but a thief, a nasty, rotten, scheming thief. Hey, now, hold on a minute. Mr. Beeson stood up. I've been good to you. I've looked after you. You should have heard what some of them wanted to. You had no right. Mom shook his arm, tears rolling down her cheeks. He is my husband. Who do you think you are? Who do I think I am? I know exactly who I am. I'm Charles. He stopped. Go on, shoot. I'm sorry. Maybe in the back of my mind, but I A massive wave crashed over the side, washing away the rest of her sentence, and drenching us both. Mom, I'm scared, I yelped, wiping the spray off my face. It's too far even for me to swim back from here. We'll never make it. As I spoke, the boat gave one more enormous lurch to the side. I fell to the floor, slipped across the deck. As I clutched the railing, I tried to pull myself up again. I noticed a shape in the sea in front of us. A fin! That was it. Then That was it then. The boat was going to capsize. We'd be eaten by sharks. Mom has never been religious, and she always said it's up to me to make my own mind up when I was ready. I never was before, until then. Without even wondering what to say, I put my hands together, closed my eyes, and prayed. Thank you for listening to chapter 12 of The Tale of Emily Windsnap. I'm so sorry for all the distractions. All our socials are down below. Please check them out, including in my Instagram, which is full of art that I've made, as well as our Patreon. Thank you for supporting us and have an awesome day. And I'll make out. Peace.